The Turkey-Syria earthquake of February 2024 has gone down in history as a catastrophe that shook both countries to the core and caused massive loss of life and property. The earthquake killed thousands of people in both countries, left hundreds of thousands homeless, and caused serious economic damage. On the morning of February 6, 2024, at 04:17 local time, this earthquake struck southeastern Turkey and northwestern Syria, centered in the Pazarcık district of Kahramanmaraş. This 7.8 magnitude earthquake occurred at a depth of 30 kilometers on the eastern Anatolia fault line. This fault line is known as one of the most active and dangerous fault lines on Earth and has caused many major earthquakes in Turkey. The earthquake devastated cities in Turkey such as Kahramanmaraş, Gaziantep, Adıyaman, Malatya, Şanlıurfa, Diyarbakır, Hatay, Osmaniye, and Kilis. In Syria, the damage was particularly severe in Aleppo, Idlib, Hama, and Latakia. In both countries, tens of thousands of buildings were completely destroyed or heavily damaged. Turkey. The earthquake caused major destruction, especially in Kahramanmaraş and Hatay. Tens of thousands of buildings were leveled, while infrastructure in many cities completely collapsed. Roads, bridges, power lines, and water supplies were badly damaged. The harsh winter conditions in the earthquake zone made search and rescue operations even more difficult. After the earthquake, aftershocks continued, causing already weakened buildings to collapse completely. The earthquake killed around 58,000 people in Turkey and over 10,000 in Syria. The number of injured reached hundreds of thousands in both countries. In the aftermath of the earthquake, many people were trapped under the rubble, and rescue teams continued their rescue efforts despite the difficult conditions. However, during the search and rescue operations, the cold weather and ongoing aftershocks slowed down the efforts. Immediately after the earthquake, large-scale search and rescue operations were launched in Turkey and Syria. In Turkey, AFAD, Disaster and Emergency Management Presidency, and the Red Crescent, as well as many state institutions, non-governmental organizations, and volunteer teams were dispatched to the region. A race against time began to rescue people trapped under the rubble. The international community also mobilized quickly to help Turkey and Syria. The United Nations, the European Union, the United States, Russia, China, and many other countries sent rescue teams, medical supplies, food, and other humanitarian aid. In addition, millions of dollars were raised through relief campaigns around the world, and these funds were delivered to people in the affected areas. The earthquake caused not only loss of life, but also huge economic losses. In Turkey, economic activity in the affected areas has almost ground to a halt. Factories, businesses, agricultural land, and much of the infrastructure have been destroyed. Initial estimates put the total economic damage to Turkey from the earthquake at over $50 billion. In Syria, the situation was even more dire. Syria, which was already struggling with its war-torn economy, was further hit by the earthquake. Access to basic needs in the country has been severely restricted. There were serious problems in electricity, water, health services, and food supply. From a social perspective, the earthquake has traumatized both countries. Families were torn apart. Thousands of children were orphaned, and hundreds of thousands of people were left homeless. In the aftermath of the earthquake, psychological support and rehabilitation efforts have been initiated, but it remains a long and difficult journey ahead. After the devastation of the earthquake, reconstruction has begun in both countries. In Turkey, the government announced a large-scale plan to rebuild the affected areas. This included building new earthquake-resistant structures to replace the destroyed buildings, rebuilding infrastructure, and providing permanent housing for those affected. However, this process requires a huge effort, both financially and morally. Most people affected by the earthquake continued to live in temporary shelters for a long period of time. A major effort is needed to educate children, get people back to work, and restore social order. The 2024 Turkey-Syria earthquake caused massive destruction in both countries, killing thousands of people and leaving hundreds of thousands homeless. This major disaster has once again demonstrated the importance of measures to be taken against natural disasters. Building earthquake-resistant structures in earthquake zones, developing early warning systems, and increasing post-disaster response capacity are vital to minimize the future impacts of similar disasters.